When my wife told me she would be working late, something in me already disagreed. You feel it, the corruption that creeps into love. A voice that once softened becomes clipped. Messages reduced to a single word. One evening I watched from our bedroom as her car turned down a different street. The red taillights were a small alarm I had ignored until it was too late. By the time I had proof, her scent on another man's shirt, his tie mixed in with our laundry, shock didn't arrive. Clarity did. My boss, the man who'd once raised a glass to me as his right hand, wasn't just the other man in the affair. He and she had knitted themselves together, professionally, financially, emotionally, until I was nothing more than an expendable loose end. 2 weeks later I was let go. Restructuring, he said. That same day she filed for divorce. Their timing was almost artful. They sold the house, took the children, froze the accounts. Then came a text from her. You'll die broke and lonely. I didn't answer. I shoved the remainder of my life into the car and drove until the fuel light trembled. I ended up renting an old storage unit behind a used car lot. No windows, a steel door, a cot, and a silence that allowed thought to grow teeth. That's where I found the briefcase. It sat on the top shelf, dustcoat, locked with a combination dial, and patched with duct tape. Someone had written my name across it in thick black marker. Daniel. I hadn't told a soul I was there. No one should have known. I forced the lock with a screwdriver. Inside were stacked bundles of bills, 50s and 100s, banded in bank straps, $60,000. Tucked underneath a roll of cash was a first-class ticket to Zurich and a note. This is just travel money. The real fortune waits at this address. No signature, only a Manhattan location. Suspicion should have been automatic, but when you have nothing left, danger tastes like air. I went. The address led to a glass tower overlooking Central Park, floor 39, a law firm tied to my old company. I expected questions when I gave my name, but the receptionist greeted me as if she'd been waiting. A sealed envelope appeared in my hands. Inside, a single USB drive and another message. They built their empire on theft. You weren't meant to find this, but you deserve to know. The drive contained a map of betrayal, emails, contracts, offshore transfers. My ex-wife and my former boss had been moving money for years, using my credentials to hide their tracks. My dismissal, my ruin, had all been a deliberate cleanup. I didn't go to the police. I called a lawyer, an old college friend who hadn't been on their radar. We spent nights parsing documents and tracing wires. The fraud was beautiful in its complexity, but arrogance leaves fingerprints. Over the next month I blurred my tracks, sold the car, bought a burner phone with cash, and began leaking what we had found to the IRS, the SEC, and journalists who lived for a scandal. Every package I sent carried one direction: follow the money. Start with her. Then I vanished. When the story surfaced, it exploded. Headlines named a CEO and a senior partner, accused of an elaborate embezzlement scheme. Their carefully cultivated images crumbled as investigators followed the paper trail. I watched from the edges, anonymous and winded, as the people who had taken everything faced the exposure they deserved. Seeing them led out of the office in handcuffs, him expressionless, her in tears, was all the closure I thought I needed. It felt like a finale, my own private symphony. But there was still the ticket to Zurich. I nearly threw it away, but curiosity has a way of clawing at you. At the Zurich bank, I handed over the numbered account from the files. The clerk hesitated, checked something on her screen, and quietly asked me to wait in a private room. 10 minutes later, a manager walked in and spoke one sentence that made my blood run cold. Mr. Ellis, the account is under your name. She slid a folder across the table, copies of my passport, signatures, tax documents, all forged. Someone had built a fake version of me years ago, using it to hide their money. Millions of dollars. The balance glowed on the screen. $4.2 million. That's when the note I'd found in the briefcase finally made sense. Whoever left it hadn't just wanted to bring them down, they'd wanted to reward me. I wondered, briefly, who it was. A rival? An insider? It didn't matter. Some mysteries are better left unopened. I transferred the funds under a new identity and disappeared. Bought a small house by a lake in northern Italy. No neighbors. No noise. Just the kind of stillness you earn after surviving the storm. I keep up with the news sometimes. My ex cut a plea deal. 5 years. My old boss is still on trial, blaming her for everything. Fitting, really. They tore me apart together. Now they're tearing each other apart. Do I feel guilty? Not in the slightest. They taught me the price of loyalty. They mistook my quiet for submission, my patience for defeat. But silence is the sharpest blade. It cuts deepest when they don't see it coming. Every move they made to destroy me only sealed their own fate. Sometimes, late at night, I think of her last message, "You'll die broke and alone." And I can't help but smile. I didn't die. I'm not broke. I just stopped replying. As for being alone, solitude isn't loneliness when it's chosen. The money wasn't the revenge. The revenge was the lesson. You can strip a man of everything, his job, his home, his family. But if you leave him his mind, he'll rebuild from the ashes. And when he does, you'll never see him coming.